Hey guys, it's Dani. Today, we are going to be taking a look at the Solara Occulto Tarot with Mercury, Salt, Sulfur, Oracle. I am so excited to be able to show these to you guys. I have been wanting these in my collection for ages, and I was so sweetly gifted these decks, and I am over the moon. I absolutely adore this deck. I have been using it since I got it in, and I kind of wanted to do that before I showed you guys. That way I had a little more to talk about the way that it reads and how I used it and stuff like that. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to get into the guidebooks and stuff as well, but let's go ahead and take a flip through these. You know what I mean? Oh, let's do it. Okay. So this is going to be a little mixed with pros and cons, because as much as I love this deck, I love it, I'm not going to say that there are no flaws. One, you can see already, this being a second-hand deck, a lot of the gilding is already gone. Now, for those of you who don't like the wear and tear of that would probably be an issue. But I don't mind. I actually really like the worn look of this kind of gilding because it's not that harsh gilding, so it just looks like, I don't know, a well-loved deck, and I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that. Because then I don't have to feel very precious with it. I can just use it and not worry about it being worn because it's already worn, and I kind of like that whole vibe. It's like some look okay, and others are just like, oh no. But this one doesn't look too bad. It does have some wear around the edges, so you can see that with this kind of golden color that it has on the borders, that there is some, some missing spots on there. So these will wear with use, just so you're aware. Now this one is out of print right now. I want to say they've been talking about doing another edition. Don't quote me on that, but I'm going to link everything down below, because this is also the same creator of the Crimson Astara. Well, I thought I had it. It's in my bag in the house, so I can't show you the Crimson Astara, but I will show you that one later. But it is the same creator, so that one is available, I believe, still. But regardless, I'm going to have everything linked. Y'all know the drill. Okay, anyway, let's just get into this. So we're going to start with Solara Occulto Tarot. Let's get closer. Closer. All right. Let's tighten that up. Move this up. All right, we're like in the face. So this is very RWS. We have our Fool. Now, it is a strange and unusual. Because of course it is. So there are a lot of nods to the RWS. You can really see it all, but it is just done in its own way. I will say, after using it for a while, there is a couple of cards that I'm like, I have to think about that, right? But I do adore this aesthetic, these kind of imperfect characters, and the way that a lot of these are portrayed. I love the muted palette, of course. I love the, very limited colors. That's like a big thing for me. I cannot help but think of Puritans right here. Chariot, we have a lot of different and interesting creatures throughout, which I do love. And as crazy as it is, what I've found this deck the most fitting for, like the readings that I use it the most for, are very much like divine related. So if I'm trying to connect to divine entities, or trying to go into some sort of goddess energy, I don't know what it is about this deck that makes it feel that way, but it is very much, I don't know, connected, excuse my llama band-aid, with goddess energy to me. Look at this devil. Nuts. I love the skeletons falling from the tower. The star. Again, we have it coming from the breast of this, like, centaur creature. Moon. Beautiful sun. I really love this. It feels very renewing and, like, blossoming. Judgment. The world. It's very otherworldly. Now, we do have a few more, I want to say 2 more, majors, which is Prudence here. And you can see the male and female, and then looking in the mirror here. It's a really cool image. And Hope. Which in some ways feels a little redundant with kind of that star energy. But that's okay. That's alright. Not too bad. Okay. So here we go into the swords. Love this kind of watery energy that they kind of explored a little more in this too. I don't know why that makes me so happy. I love the Two of Swords with, like, extra water energy in it. 3. 4. 5. You can see, look at this moon coming into the picture to kind of, like, I don't know, look at this creature in disgust. The dark clouds and the 7. This 6 of Swords, look at these monsters coming out of the water and kind of snatching it. Really gives me a lot of feels like you are running away from your problems instead of dealing with them. And that will sink your ship wherever you're going. I really like that energy. We have the 8. Oh. Did I miss this? Look at what I did. I was like, wait a second. I just put them back in order, so forgive me. I'm sorry. There's the 8. The 9. All the zodiacal signs here at the bottom. I feel, have you noticed how I'm, like, flipping these cards? Like, for whatever reason, I feel crippled. Like, I just have to point this, and, like, I can't use my finger. It just feels weird when I go to try to turn it, because I'm not feeling the card as well. Anyway, we have our 10. Do you see what I mean? I'm just kind of flinging them everywhere. Page. Knight. And then we do have the kind of, like, third eye vibe of these animals. The Queen. I think I'm just going to do it with this hand. And the King. Like, check this kind of angelic creature behind this King of Swords. It is a winged creature. Very interesting. Almost like being guided. Okay, I'm gonna scooch and do it this way. That way I'm not so awkward. Okay, so now we have the Ace of Wands. All through the aces here, we have our 2. Very RWS. He's looking at the world in his hands. He's got the 2 wands on the side. These are not attached, though. A little more freedom there. Our 3. 4. This has, like, a victory feel to it, right? They're little, like, hats with the horns on them. But we have these people celebrating in the background as well. Very celebratory 4. We have these little bear cat creatures for the 5 of Wands. And I really like this because there's, like, this going on. It's a very playful sort of conflict. And this one is having none of it, which reminds me of my chicken in the Druidcraft. So, like, I really like this idea of, like, this one is having none of it. It's just like, ugh, whatever. This is, like, childish and ridiculous kind of conflict. Like, I'm having none of it. And I really love that image. The 6 of Wands. Our 7, we have this, like, werewolf creature. He's got one shoe on. Like, things are getting a bit hairy. Pun intended. The 8. We have our 9. So instead of kind of wrapped around the head, we have like a wounded foot here. Kind of using this 9 to prop herself up. We have our 10 of Wands. This burden doesn't seem... It seems like it's kind of chaotic, but not impossible to carry. It's like things are kind of tumbling, like maybe losing grip versus that struggle. We have our Page of Wands. Our Knight. The Queen. The King. I love the contrast between like the black backgrounds, the white backgrounds, and these golden ones. Ace of Cups. Our 2. This one is really, I mean, like, I love the, you know, the whole image here, but I find it very strange that we have heads on this end and snake heads on this end. So this is like a very, like, interesting vibe we got going on. 3. Love it. 4. 5. I like this like bridge here that they created that kind of looks a little closer, where it's like, I don't know, maybe like a better choice, like take your moment to grieve and then kind of walk back over. I don't know. I dig it. I love the artichoke trees. That's what I call them in the background. There's quite a few of them. We have the 6 here. Our 7. 8. We have the 9, very balanced, kind of meditative energy. And our 10. This 10 is really interesting with these fish. Only because, like, fish, I go back to, like, Lenormand, that kind of, like, that doing well in business, that successful kind of vibe. And it's, like, almost, like, successful emotional maturity, almost, in a way. Kind of completing that next level of maturity, I guess. Page of Cups. Our Knight. Queen. Love the octopus on her head. Our King. Again, we have that fish jumping out the back. That successful nature. Into the Pentacles. We have our little cat creature. Our 3. This looks like a ritual going on, huh? This kind of like cracked image, but they all have their pentacles in hand. We have our 4, 5, 6. I like this little 7. Again, these creatures, I don't know why they lend so well towards, you know, divine energy for me. They just really, really do. 8, 9, 10. We have our Page, our Knight, our Queen, our little rabbit here, and our King. A little stubborn there, huh? So, let's go ahead and shuffle these. Let's come up. Okay, so let's shuffle with my wounded finger. This actually has some really good bend to it. I'm gonna do it opposite to kind of fix that bow. but it's got a good weight to it. It is rather thick. The size, I want to say they're both the same size, but I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that yet. We'll figure it out. I am looking for a standard size tarot. Do I not have any of them at my fingertips right now? Oh my god, ask me why nothing around me. I'm so... Mystic Masters is literally right here. I looked at the bag like 4 times, and I was like, I don't have anything around me. But I got Pear Tree Court because it was the closest thing. But you can see these are a lot wider and a little bit taller than standard tarot size. But they do shuffle well. They have a good bend to them. Like I said, I feel like they will wear an age. Like there's going to be a lot of like rubbing off. And I know that shuffling does that to cards, but at the same time, like, I'm not going to not shuffle my cards, right? That's what they're here for. And some people are like, oh, well, just overhand. But I feel like that does damage too. I don't think you're really going to prolong the life. That's my opinion. Prolong the life by overhand shuffling, because you're roughing up the whole face of the card still. And you're still kind of banging against, you know, the sides. So regardless, I think it will, you know, it'll have that aging. You know, the gilding is going to come off. But I think that it's not going to ruin the card. This is probably not one that I would ever trim because of that, because I think it will, you know, impede. Now, I say that, but if it gets too bad, you know, maybe trimming it down would help, and maybe edging it with a different color. But honestly, I don't really see myself doing that. Again, I feel like this is one that's going to age, and I'm okay with that. Because this is, again, one that I want to use. It's not one that I'm like, I have to keep precious, and I don't, you know, this is out of print, and I don't want to touch it. No, like, I really do. Oh, what am I doing? Wait. Let's pull a card. Hold on. Look. Pew, pew, pew. Let's pull this one. And look at the guidebook. Okay. So we have this nice size guidebook. It does come in a bigger box, but I have it like way up on my shelf. So there's that. It's literally just a big covering that kind of fits everything inside, nice and neat. But we have our guidebook. It's got a couple of spreads. Tarot of the Hidden Sun. Then it kind of goes into each of the cards. Every card has its own page. So, 9 of Wands. We have here. These are shiny pages too. There's nothing on the back. They're just like one page front. I saw something that caught my eye, and now I'm like, what was that one? Nothing, apparently, just tripping. Oh, that's what it was. It was going into the cups. Anyway, okay, let's read what they say about the 9 of Wands. Oh, and I do want to show you that these are a little pixelated. Not all of them, but there are a few that are. You know, it's kind of like it was probably put together and then sent off. And so sometimes that happens where it'll pixelate. Because like I said, not all of them are pixelated. So it might have just been, you know, just one of them things. Anyway, it doesn't bother me all that much. This isn't mass market. This is independent. So there are going to be some unique things happening. So anyway, let's read. Okay, it says, injury. Victory comes through persistence and resilience. Even though you are tired, you are still not finished with your challenges yet. You are still required to follow through with your energies and address the areas that you have called out. This is an endurance test, exposing vulnerability. Although there is injury, You are still standing tall and motioning towards a victorious outcome within all of your endeavors. There is an encouragement here. Follow through on completion. And then we have some meanings. We have upright, truly resilient, working through struggle, steadfast, reaching deeply inside of your resources, strength, vulnerability. And reversed is overtired, exhausted, or injured. So, and this is kind of how it is for all of the cards. It really doesn't explain much of what's going on in the cards. I'm trying to see if there is. Really, no. So I feel like it's kind of, when it comes to, again, it's basically RWS clone. But when it comes to like, oh, what is that creature? It's just kind of use your imagination, you know what I mean? So this one doesn't have too much as far as the guidebook is concerned, like explaining every little bit and piece. And this is a very strange deck in that way, right? In the art, in the creatures that we see. So yeah, it doesn't do that, but I'm not super bummed about it. Like I said, it feels otherworldly to me. So like I expect it to be kind of strange and unusual when I'm dealing with that kind of energy. As far as for regular readings, honestly, I've done just some basic, and it's really good reader that way, but not my favorite, if that makes sense. I appreciate the art in a different way. Like, I don't feel like this is going to be one that I'm just going to pull out for, you know, I don't know, past, present, or future kind of readings. Unless incredibly called to. It just doesn't have that feeling for me. It doesn't have that energy for me. So I do feel like it is very specific, and it is that kind of otherworldly, again, connection to goddess, or maybe even spell work in some way, shapes, or forms. If I'm really trying to connect with deity, I feel like, oddly enough, this would be one that I would use. That's not really like deity specific, but has that kind of otherworldly vibe. It definitely gives me like Persephone kind of feelings. Not sure why, but it does. So that's just kind of my perspective as far as that goes, and how I've been using it. So while I love the deck, I love using the deck, it's not one that I would pull out for just anything, I guess, is kind of my point. So let's go into Mercury, Salt, Sulfur, Oracle. We have another kind of basic guidebook. I know that with this creator, the guidebook, sometimes the formatting isn't always superb. I know on the Crimson one, there was another book added in because the first one kind of got squished. It was really, really, really tiny. So I feel like, you know, they're not the best guidebooks, but they're readable and they're great for what they are, especially for me, who is not one that will, you know, for every single deck, I'm going to dive in 100% to the guidebook. I'm not that kind of reader, so it's less worrisome to me, I guess. I do like to glance and I like to see what's said, but I really don't feel like the guidebook is going to make or break a deck for me. So again, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that this came with the Solara Occulto Tarot in some of the boxes. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not positive. I do not remember. These are out of order. I have been using them. Oh, another thing that it has on Solara as well as this one, there is a copyright. Oh, I'm like showing you over here. There is a copyright on the sides of all of them. Now, this one is technically reversible, except for this, but the backs of these, which I, again, just felt like I didn't need to show you, are non-reversible in that way, you know? So, woo, okay. So we have this oracle. This is hella fun. I can't lie, I really enjoyed this one. And all the ones that I was not familiar with, I really did like their entries in the guidebook, so we'll go through those. But these are a lot of fun. So, we have entity attachments. Again, they go really well together. I also want to show you size-wise. Like I said, I'm like 90% sure. Oh, ever so slightly bigger. Ever so slightly. But they do look good together. We do have a shinier... Can we catch that in the light? It's not going to catch the light when I want it to. There we are. A little bit shinier than we are with this one, you see? This is very matte. This has like a lamination. I wouldn't call it a gloss. Just a lamination. It's not glossy, just shiny. Yeah? Okay. So let's come in with this one as well. Okay, so here we go. Entity attachments, temptation, struggle. If I'm being honest, like I really adore using this. Like every time I look at it, it makes me like excited. Like I want to pair this with some citrine. I want to keep this on my desk. I want to have this like at the ready. I just feel like it really, I don't know. This is something I never knew I wanted, if I'm being honest. I didn't know much about this oracle, but when I tell you, every time I flip through it and every time I reach for it, it's just been, I don't know, exciting. It's like I didn't know how much I liked or wanted this. Perspective. Empathy. Look at that grief card. Oh my god. I love the lungs. Like when I think of grief for me, I did a painting on it not long after my grandmother died, and it's one of those things that when it comes to grief for me, it's not just a broken heart. It's like you put your hand on your chest and it's like your whole, like your throat feels like it's caught and empty and just kind of your breath catches, right? And so the fact that they have the lungs as well as the heart here just really, like, this embodies the way grief feels to me, where it gets caught almost like in your throat, like you can't breathe, right? Like you can't take that deep breath anymore. So I thought this was absolutely beautiful, especially because it goes from like rain to flowers, like that kind of like this too can be healed. Ugh. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Solve a coagula. Please forgive me. I don't know Latin very well. The summer solstice. We do have the solstices in here. Theurgy. Please do not come at me if I'm not saying some of these right. I am trying. Love. I keep grabbing more than one. Emotional stability, which I obviously don't have today. Surrender. Isn't that beautiful? I know it's strange, but it's also beautiful, right? The sun. We have a lot of planetary, zodiacal symbols. Obviously, we're dealing with alchemy here, so there's going to be a lot of symbolism throughout, which, you know, I guess is expected, right? As above, so below. Exploration. Starseed. Look at that. Energy vampire. Are you kidding me? Yes. Childhood trauma. Jealousy. I mean, what better than Medusa here? Am I right? Obsessed. Okay. The longest fall. Moon. I don't know why I love this image so freaking much, but I do. The winter solstice. Facing your shadow. Like, I'm telling you, these keywords have just, like, got me. I don't feel like I have anything else in my collection, personally, that deals with some of these things. So I really love seeing it. Fear is spot on for me. I don't like spiders. Timeline shift. Do you see what I mean? Oh, love it. Channeling. Counsel. Power. As crazy as it is, I could go on forever with these. Like, I just want to go back and talk about that counsel, like how you're in that perspective, but I'm trying to speed this along. I know we're already at 30 minutes. Okay, self-acceptance, trust. Like, just be sure that we're probably going to revisit this deck often. A new path, drowning, the horror, oh my god, Abraxas, holding close to the chest here, abundant, herbal medicine, faceless judgment, shame, oh my god, okay, Anisodora. I'm not good at the names, but you can see that emptiness here, kind of coming into that emptiness with almost like a seed and growth. Perversion. Consciousness. Kind of going up into that tree of life. Sorcery. As within, so without. Aspirations. That kind of reaching into the void and pulling things out. Kind of like, I don't know, again, I could talk about this one forever. Henosis. Victory. Love the braids. And look how long they are. Makes me think of, so many cultures, hold so much weight in that kind of like long braided hair. Radiance. Mandrake. Mercury, salt, sulfur. Freedom of the heart. Luck. Mushrooms. Let me see. Is it Pistis Sophia? Again, not good at pronunciation. Home. The smile on that creature's face. Okay. A message. Like, I love this message, kind of like a message on the wind, and you have all these, like, birds, you have this kind of air all around it. Rebus. Rise. Oh. A voyage. And there we have Mercury, salt, sulfur. Let me bring this back up so we can shuffle and pick a card. So these are very similar. I find that they're a little more, I don't know, it's kind of strange because they're like a little more stiff, but they're still like thin. These you can still feel almost like perforations along the sides. Do you see? Can you see the perforations there? Like where they were taken apart, they were like punched out. But these are a lot newer. I don't know if they used this deck before I received it, or if they did, it was very minimal use compared to the tarot. I like to go back in front because sometimes it holds a little bit of a bow. But I do live in a very humid climate, obviously. And my dehumidifier, it broke the other day. And so I just got my new one in. It was out for like a week or so. It didn't do any damage, obviously. But I always worry about that because I'm like, ugh. Moisture and cards just don't mix. These shuffle really easily. I don't mind the lamination that these have on it. Again, it's not matte, but it's not gloss. but they don't impede anything. So let's pick a card. Oh, okay, well, let's take a look at both of these. If it's too long, we won't read every little bit, but we'll take a look at it. Okay, so I want to say these are, yes, these are in alphabetical order, so thank you. Let's see. Oh, of course, except for that one. It's probably under Voyage, because of course it is. Oh, yep, here it is. Oh, it's under The Voyage. I will say that there are some that are not exactly as written, so they must have undergone a little bit of a name change. And then we have the spreads. We have 2 here, which I love a good spread. So let's talk about The Voyage first. It says, this card represents a voyage that is coming into reality. Perhaps you are going to engage in some travel, take a trip, broadening your horizons. In a more esoteric sense, this card represents physical manifestation of your visions, propelling you forward into your dreams, into your goals. Key, taking a trip, journey, shamanistic journey, moving towards goals, travel, destination, camaraderie, partnership. So you can really see all of that from this card, right? I do like how it talks about, like, kind of in that esoteric sense where you're kind of manifesting, you're on the road to manifestation. So it does kind of throw in a lot. I really do like the way that this guidebook is. I have to say, thus far, out of all three decks that I have from this creator, this is probably my favorite guidebook and my favorite deck. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. There's something about it. I'm gushing. I know. I'm sorry. But I do really love this. This is one that I really wish was mass market, because I feel like so many people would benefit from this deck. Like, it is definitely a good one. Trust. Oh, here it is. I was like, where is it? So we have trust. So these aren't long, so I'm going to read trust for you as well. It says, has your trust been broken? Learning how to trust blindly and wholeheartedly can be one of the hardest things to do. Even though you may have been led astray from trust many times over, you will never be able to move forward again unless you are willing to work with trust. A state of trust is the ticket to experiencing new things. You cannot base trust on extrapolated experiences, because trust with every individual and situation is different and is never the same as the last one or the last experience. Trust is a rare experience in and of itself that is always eager to offer you something new. Key, walking a thin line, trust the process, truth shall be revealed to you, careful not to be led astray. Again, so many different aspects in this trust. I really love the ideas and the concepts that the creator really brings up in this deck. And so this has skyrocketed itself to a really solid oracle in my collection. I don't think that this is going to leave my desktop for a while. Again, it just feels like everything I'm working on personally in my own shadow, I can turn to these cards and it gives me that different perspective and something else to think about and to, maybe meditate on or journal over, like the idea of trust and kind of letting go of the idea that you've been hurt before, so you can't trust anyone. It's like breaking those things down. I can't speak more highly about this. If I could petition for anything to be, put out mass market and have, the ability to access an oracle, this would definitely be one. And that's saying a lot, in consideration of how many things that I've put my hands on and that I've been, privileged to look through. And I don't know, there's just something about this deck right now that ties so well to my own personal practice and my own personal growth pattern that I'm on right now that is really expansive to me. So anyway, these are Mercury, Salt, and Sulfur, and Solara, Occulto, Tarot. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this walkthrough and discussion about these two decks. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is this something that you have? Have you used them? What are your thoughts on these? Again, if anyone hears any word of these being back up for print or anything like that, let me know down in the comments. I'll go ahead and pin your comment up at the top. That way we can spread the news for these. But like I said, I will leave the links down below to whatever I can find, and keep your eye out for these, because if you can get your hands on them at a decent price, hella worth it. Hella worth it. So I will see you all very soon. All of my links are down below, including how to book a reading with me, 3 Fat Readers. It's got my Etsy shop, my Instagram, how to join the Mystic fam, and all that good stuff. That's all down below in the description. So I'm sending all my love. Mwah. Later, Gators.